Good morning, Arsenal and Albert JTV community. I think it's appropriate to have the picture on screen as we speak now. He is one of our own. The only person that's probably happy in terms of an Arsenal side of the result yesterday, and maybe even the Everton side as well. Arsenal 0, Everton 0. Super Kev, we love you, we miss you, and this one's for you, my brother. People, we will get into it straight after the intro. And I can see the logic behind the signing, even though some Arsenal fans.
We actually worked a good passage of play.
Arsenal and footballing community. Like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to Albert JTV. Oh, let's get started. Look at it. It's an Albert JTV admin error. Let me get myself on the screen. That might help actually. Where we going? This is a good start to the stream, isn't it? Flipping hell. Oh, he's gone. There you go. Flipping hell. What happened there? In all my years of doing Albert JTV YouTube channels, that has never happened before. I've got the two guests on the stream before the actual host. That's impossible. Let me get in the back. There he is. He's in the background. Super Kevin in the background. People, welcome back to Albert JTV for a Sunday morning, or in some cases, a Sunday night in other areas of the world. Arsenal 0, Everton 0. There's plenty to talk about. And I've got two amazing guests with me, people. Starting with the man they call Jimmy Changa, James Johnson Football. Welcome back, my sir.
Oh, no, thank you for having me on. Again, like I said to Sophie yesterday when I was on there, I wish it could be in better circumstances, but, you know, we can't shy away. We got to be as loud as we are in victory as we are in draws and defeats. So let's talk about it, man. Then there's still a lot to digest, even though it was a 0-0. It's one of them, isn't it, where it's like, even though it was 0-0, you still got tons to talk about.
Exactly. But yes, James, thank you for joining me. And of course, this man has been away from the mic for far too long. I've managed to get him on 11 hours ahead in Australia. Borgie, welcome back, man. Plenty to talk about. How you been?
I've been well, man. Good morning, good evening to whoever's watching. Tell you what, 2 a.m. this morning, Arsenal-Everton kicks off. Not a great way to start your day, and it was an early start, but I'm sure we'll get right into it, man. But I've had better Sundays than this morning, courtesy of the crew.
You know, well said. People, when you do join the chat, smash the like button, roof through the roof. Suju, top man, joining us. Thank you, my brother. Yeah, man, rest in peace, Super Kev, man. But people, I'm glad you. I'll tell you a little story. I've obviously shared it with a few people. I luckily got a ticket for the game, but let's just say I wasn't in the finest form in terms of being healthy, and I actually really shouldn't have gone to the game. To be honest, I wasn't great. I don't feel too brilliant now, but because it's Super Kev, I've got to be there, man. Kevin Campbell Derby, he named it. And like I said, he's probably the only one that's happy with the result yesterday. So, yeah, rest in peace, Super Kev, man. We miss him, man, 100%. But yeah, let me come to my first amazing guest. It's been a while, so I'm going to kick off with Scotty Borg, man. I'll do this a bit differently today. We're obviously going to talk about the game and the repercussions of what Arsenal may do this season or not do. Where was you sort of coming into the start of the season about Arsenal off the back of the last two seasons? What was your expectations, or what do you think Arsenal would deliver?
Look, I don't know if you've noticed on Twitter, sometimes I like to get into spats with people because I always ask what I think is a really basic question and I never get an answer. I feel like I'm talking to politicians. My question that I always ask is, what is your minimum expectation of the club, the manager, the players for the season? Mine coming into this season, I understood that when Mikel took over, we had to go take a couple of steps backwards to hopefully take many steps forwards. And, you know, he was backed when he tore apart that FA Cup winning squad.
Yep.
If the culture wasn't right, I understand you got to get the culture right. And we'd started building up. And after the last couple of seasons, my expectations, I don't think were unrealistic. I expected this season a cup. That was it for me. just bring a cup in, because this team needs to get something over the line. And I think we've got a massive mental block. So had we won an FA Cup, done well in the title race, I was okay for another year of Mikel, because I see that as an important step. Win something, lift a cup under his tenure, not that FA Cup. A Champions League would have been the dream. Premier League would have been the dream, but I was even willing to go, just give me a cup, bring me an FA Cup, and don't embarrass ourselves in Europe. But at the moment, I'm not feeling like we'll be lifting any cups. Certainly not the Premier League. That for me is done and dusted. I've lost you, but I can't hear you, my man. You're muted.
There is. He's even muted himself when he's meant to be speaking. This is ridiculous, Albert JTV. But all your listeners, you're definitely going to enjoy listening to this on the way back. Trust me. But yeah, James, sort of the same question to you, mate. Yeah, I say especially off the back of the last 2 seasons, because obviously Arsenal have put themselves in a position to go for a league title. What are your expectations this season? I'll tell you mine quickly before I'll get your dulcet tones to it. I even go back last season. I actually did say I thought it's important that he gets a trophy. And I didn't say it in a way that if he doesn't get one, he should be sacked. Because ultimately, and I get tired of having this conversation with fans, I'm not paid by the bloody club to make decisions. I'm not a sporting director. I'm not a CEO. I don't have that kind of say. But I actually thought to get a trophy last season. I said that. That didn't happen. We've come into this season. I didn't have Arsenal down to win the league. I thought it'd be City. I didn't expect Liverpool and Chelsea to have done as well as they've done this season. I don't mean that in a disrespect to either of them, because I looked at it yesterday. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, people in the chat, or James or Scott, I think the last times Chelsea and Liverpool finished above us was, I think it was 4 seasons ago, technically speaking now. 21-22, if I've got that right. And we finished above them, obviously ahead of them the last few seasons. So yeah, what was your kind of thoughts before the start of the season when the ball was kicked, man?
Okay, so same as what I basically said last year, in that I actually think we were, I put us down to win the league. In terms of the other trophies, I know that we have, especially under Arteta, maybe not the champion. I think last year in the Champions League, we went further than probably a lot of people expected. So I'll accept that one. But no, for this season, again, I was like, do well in Europe. I don't like to diminish the cups. I've seen a lot of people play the kids midweek. Ridiculous.
Happens a lot in our fan base with the cups.
Yeah. Well, only under this manager. Everyone else took them. He diminishes the cups in order to try and win. Because the sole focus is the league. What other top clubs think like that?
It's crazy.
For me, you play the best squad that you can play. I know he's going to rotate, but you play the best squad that you can on Wednesday, because that is a chance of winning a trophy. That this more so for him to still prove that he can win a trophy. This group of players need to know they can win something together, because they keep getting so close, and ending up with nothing. And as a fan, all 3 of us can attest to it. It's soul destroying as a fan. But imagine that you're running around for God knows 50, 60 odd games a year. And then at the end of it, what have you got to show? Nothing. And then most of the time they go on the international tournaments, and guess who they meet? All the players that have won something. And it's probably in jest that they rub it in their face, but it must do your head in. And so for me, the bare minimum expectation was a cup and no league regression. But looking on the balance of things that are happening now, if he regresses in the league, let's put it bluntly, Chelsea's no shock. They should be there with the amount of money that they've spent. Liverpool, is it really a shock with the squad that they have? No. But when you've got 2 new managers and you've got one of the most balanced squads, you should be winning it at a canter, especially with the way that City have fell off. Now, I said City will fall off, but not to this extent.
No,
But you look
no
at it
idea.
and go,
No.
who's the most ready? Should be us. And
Mhm.
going off yesterday, sorry to jump the gun, Albert, because I know you want to go into it a bit more in depth, so I'll wrap it up after I say this. But we do not look ready at all. We look like novices. We look like a novice team under a novice manager, not these other ones.
Mm. Yeah, like no, fair play. Big up to Borgie and Jays, man. People obliterate the like button, people. I'm not just do it. We need it after yesterday's result. And actually for the last few weeks, to be totally honest with you. Now, fair play, James. Like what I do when Arsenal play, right, particularly when we get results which are quite damaging for our progression going forward. I'll take a step back a little bit. Because I don't get too caught up in the emotion of it, believe it or not. It'd be interesting to know how you guys feel with Arsenal results and how you sort of take it on enjoying your weekend or your day after. I don't know how long it takes to get out of the system or whatever, but I sit back and listen to other people, whether they're YouTube content creators, whether they're people that just go on podcasts, and I don't say this as somebody who's people should listen to gospel and take what I say. I've never been that way coming into this platform. There are a lot of people like it, which I'll remain nameless. But I just sit back and listen. I think to myself,
We know who they are, don't worry.
Yeah, there's loads, James. Listen, we could be here all day. But I was listening to some people talking about, proportion, Waneri coming on, I expect a bit more, and you should get the same amount of flack as other people. And then there's people talking about, the last few months, only 10, 12 games in. I said, look, the season moves very, very quickly. We're going to approach Christmas. We are halfway through December. We're only a few weeks away from January. Things will change very, very quickly. And I think for me, James, you talk about the cups, you're right. And it fascinates me that why is it that City, Liverpool and Chelsea, for example, can take the Carabao Cup seriously in the last 15, 20 years, but sections of our fan base completely dismiss it? It blows my mind. And that's back even back to Wenger days, by the way. People had that attitude. So you make a good point in terms of, and Scott's touched on it, Arsenal, we're not decorated with players in the team and the squad that have won major honours. So as a fan, surely there must be an epiphany moment to say, you know what? Maybe winning the Carabao Cup in February is a good idea for the nucleus of this team. Just maybe. I'm only speaking alone. I don't know. Maybe I'm going crazy in my old age.
You're speaking too much sense. You are, mate.
Go on, Scott. Come in, Scott. Come in.
I feel. Look, I'm not going to be the rainbow on this stream. I'm not going to be the joy. I feel like we're more of a cult than a football club at this moment in time. And you look at our social media, the excuses that come out
It's terrible.
after a result doesn't go our way, the disrespect towards the cups. Like, you would think we're a team that makes Champions League finals every year and has lifted the Premier League 5 times in the last 15 years. You'd think we're Manchester City, the way we disrespect the cups.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just the excuses are mental, man. You asked how we take results. I'm so disenfranchised at the moment. I don't enjoy watching the football. I find it, besides the odd performance where we let loose and get an early goal, I find it's methodic. It's like sideways, same old game.
Turgid.
You can't criticize even after 0-0 against Everton. You can't be critical because it's a process. But you look at Maresca and Slot. But people can't. You can't say that. You can't say that. And I'm kind of happy I stepped away from the mic on my own kind of platform. Now I can come be the villain on here if I need to be, and then go to sleep at midnight tonight and roll over, man. But I don't know. It's so frustrating at the moment. Like a Carabao, to that question, Carabao Cup in 4th place, I would absolutely take it because this team needs to get over that line. They need to know that feeling that we can lift a cup. And when Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, he's constructed this squad. We've lifted a cup. We've won something. There goes that myth. Now let's win something bigger. But we're not there yet. We're not there.
No, so Scott, and so actually moving into James. Actually, Scott talks about the cups and obviously how you feel about Arsenal, sort of how you feel about when we get certain results. But James, coming sort of to the game yesterday, like I said, I was lucky enough to go to the game. I won't get back that first 45 minutes back ever again in my life. And I don't take the piss lightly when I say you defy any Arsenal fan, whether he's in the stadium or watching it on TV, to struggle to stay awake. James, coming to you, I think the team lineup was good enough to beat Everton, who are listen, forget the promoted sides that come up from the Championship. Everton are a very poor side, incredibly poor side. United gave them 4. Southampton beat them. So, and I don't say this in an arrogant or cocky way. I'm going to the stadium thinking I expect Arsenal to get the 3 points because we're coming up against a team at home who have a horrendous record against us at the Emirates. They don't even score most of the time, apart from last season. So I don't think I'm going above the grain by saying I thought Arsenal would win the game. But James, the problem is, and I'll come to you, bro. This is not just a one-off of how Arsenal start games or their first 45 minutes in games. What did you make of it in the first half? But also, I just feel, and I said this on Judge's channel after the game, we done the sort of the live after thing. If Arsenal don't score in the first 15, 20, we're in trouble, man. We are serious problems, home or away. Tell me your thoughts, man.
Yeah, I mean, especially this season. When a third of your goals that you've scored in the league have all come from set pieces, I feel now as much as it was a laugh, as much as it was fun, as much as as much as it was spray painted on a wall, and people are calling that cringe and just like, what is wrong with you Arsenal fans going mad over a set piece, coach? Nobody else ever does it. I think it was very tongue in cheek why that was done, but still. I feel that is something that Arteta has in his locker that he feels he can fall back on. So it's just like, well, regardless of the lack of productivity, still got them set pieces, innit? If we get a corner, if we get a free kick. But the thing is, you have such amazing delivery from a set piece situation, yet the crosses that these players put in the box are rubbish. Like natural crossing. I'm like, and why is it from the dead ball? They're as sweet as a nut, directly they land on people's heads. And again, it goes to what I've said, and I'm really starting to worry with Mikel Arteta in that his focus is so much on not losing, but not winning.
Mm-hmm.
And Everton yesterday, they've had 10 days rest. I'll throw that in there. But like you said, they are so poor. And do you know what? Poor. The level of analysis that we give on all these podcasts and everything is very good. It's very concise. But the level of analysis these players are doing, I bet you Everton went through hours and hours of video of us in these 10 days that they've had off. Hours of it. And they've turned up and we've played nothing like the videos they've watched. And they've probably got back on the bus home laughing, going, cool, that was easy, weren't it? Because everyone, Pickford yesterday did at times look like prime Buffon. But that was because we were making him look like it.
James, just to add to that, I'm going to bring you back in. I heard this morning. I wasn't aware. No goal in open play in the Premier League for 5.5 hours.
Yeah. And, the shots are all straight at him. Like where I was watching, they were going on commentary. Oh, that's a brilliant set. I'm like, and this was the same as in the Champions League in midweek with Jesus misses and Odegaard's sitter that he missed in midweek. They were like, oh, what a good save by that goalkeeper. I'm like, that's not a good save. That's crap finishing. Let's call it. That they need to be the net needs to be bursting, and you need to hear the shout of all the fans screaming at the goals going in. They're not good saves. They're absolutely woeful finishes from these players. And Arsenal inherently in their DNA are always going to create. But the problem is at the moment, we don't create enough because we keep erring on this side of caution. And there is no need for it. I know it's the cliche, I'll take the handbrake off. But you don't even put the keys in the ignition to let the handbrake go off. So, because it just doesn't work. It's a case of if Odegaard doesn't play well, and again, the last 2 league games he's been terrible. By the way, I'm not ashamed to call players out regardless of the names that's on the back of them.
Yeah, James, that first half yesterday, Jesus Christ, man.
He's been, against Fulham, okay, I'll admit he got a whack on the ankle and he looked completely different after he got a whack on that ankle. But he was dreadful yesterday, and it can't all go through Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka's put this team on his back
for years,
like a rucksack, and carry it, but he can't keep doing it much longer. And this has been forever. Alexis Sanchez couldn't carry a team on his back for us. Robin van Persie, dare I say his name? Sorry for mentioning his name on your channel. I know that's probably a sin.
That's a Leeds thing, bruv. Go on.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? I'm like, he couldn't carry it. So why do you think that Bukayo Saka, everything he does is amazing? And yeah, the one chance that we did get was him zigging and zagging through a player and laying it on. And if we score that, we're probably going to score more because they're going to open up and have to play. But when you play like that against Everton, who, let's get it right, you said are a poor side, they've just been bought by, I'm probably going to butcher the name, is it Frederick Group or something?
We'll go with that. We'll go with that, bro. Go on.
I've probably butchered that name. Apologies. The guy who also owns Roma is just buying it.
Okay. I'll look into that.
Now, it's pretty much announced that when he comes in, he's probably not going to want Sean Dyche as his manager.
No, he's got
so
no
Sean Dyche is doing everything he can to keep his job for as long as he possibly can. So to get a point against Arsenal is huge. Is absolutely huge. But those players, like I said, must have got back on that bus on the way back to Merseyside on that drive, laughing their arse off because they didn't even have to work for the draw. They just had to be all right. They didn't have to do anything. Because I heard all this, masterclass, Sean Dyche. No, I'm not having that.
No, I think James, I think their team talk was very easy because any side watching Arsenal in the last few weeks, the fans sing the song "Set Piece of Love," but Jesus Christ. But anyway, Everton must have been rubbing their hands yesterday defensively. Look at the size of Tarkowski, for goodness sake. Jared Brandtwaite.
Yeah, but you know when Arsenal play well, and the media narrative is always that these teams are terrible. When Arsenal beat them, they're all of a sudden terrible. It's not anything that Arsenal's done good. It's that these teams are now all of a sudden rubbish.
Yeah. Well,
yesterday there was all this about how Everton were amazing, and it was a masterclass. And I'm like, no, Arsenal were just so bad that they made it. You know, if Everton did something that I could praise, Albert, I'd sit here and praise them for it because I don't care about, saying stuff that Arsenal fans find negative. I don't care about that. But other than a decore chance that, thank goodness, Gabriel got back and blocked it.
Yeah, good block.
They did nothing. They had nothing.
2 shots, none on target.
They had no ambition. Everton didn't rock up to win the game. They had in their team talk. I guarantee you that the word "win" wasn't used in relation to the game. Maybe win your tackles, win your challenges, win your headers, but even then, and this has been a consistent problem. Look, I even remember this during the Wenger days, to be fair, but I remember, recency bias. I see it a lot with Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. We can't break down a low block. We can't. We had 0 shots from outside the box yesterday. Sometimes you just got to shoot. You got to pull the trigger, get a deflection, keep a parries that someone shoots. I understand that we're not crossing a lot, but you know what? 134 Premier League games, 10 headed goals to Kai Havertz. I probably wouldn't be crossing it to him either, to be honest, unless we start playing Saliba or Gabriel up at striker. Maybe then we cross. I don't know, Matt. Maybe that's a new tactic. But poor Saka is now, because of Martinelli and Trossard both dropping out of form.
We'll touch on him. Don't worry about that. Yeah,
they're both out of form at the same time. So that means that Everton know the attacks. If there's going to be an effective attack, it's coming down Saka's side. So kick him, mark him, keep it tight. Odegaard yesterday, for me, was atrocious. I mean, for him to get hooked as well, and Arteta came out and said it was purely tactical. But I thought it was still a bit. I know you're probably going to ask about the subs, Albert.
Yeah.
But holy moly, they were negative, man. Like, chuck Ethan on with Erdegaard.
Exactly.
Let's see what they can create together. We only needed just leave one defender at the back. That's all we needed. They weren't threatening. They had no intention of scoring a goal.
Yeah, I was trying to. What did he say? That bit about Erdegaard. So yeah, Erdegaard sub. It was a tactical decision, no injury or anything else. But I understand how it works. If even Nwaneri comes in and scores, it's a great sub. If he doesn't, you've taken your captain off. I'll tell you my issue with that before I come back to James. If you're going to bring him on, with the way that game has gone for 60 minutes, keep your season pros on with him to feed him the ball. I'm not having none of this rubbish about you come and own it and you take it kind of the scruff of the neck. That's fine, but we have very short memories as Arsenal fans because he came on in Leicester and changed the game. Or have we conveniently forgot that? You keep, like you said, Scott, you keep Erdegaard on with it. Even if you play Erdegaard a little bit deeper and let Ethan play a further 10 yards up the pitch. You cannot. The subs, I couldn't believe it, to be honest with you. We'll touch on this. There's many things we can talk about Arsenal. We'll be here for about 10 hours. But when he bought, like, we're chasing the game at 0-0, right, to get a very important win. We're putting on Thomas Partey, who goes right back to Mutimba left back. I could not believe what I was seeing. Are we trying to save the game? It's 0-0. James, like, and before I come to you, so I know some people hate the stats, but they're there for a reason. So to me, I'm going to say this. Whether you look at it from a statistical point of view or from the eye test, it's all worrying for Arsenal. I saw a stat the other day. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Big chances created in the Premier League. Arsenal top of the food chain, you know. Unbelievably. Above everybody else, I think it's joint 43 big chances created with some. It might be joint with some, but they're top of the food chain with that. Which you're thinking, this doesn't make sense. So what's happening there? One solution, the striker talk. Nip that in the bud. You know, yesterday, I think that was our 10th different backline this season in the Prem.
11th.
Yeah, I think there's only been 3 games this season where we've used the same defensive unit. I know there's mitigating circumstances in terms of the injuries, cool. But when you look at them substitutions yesterday, did that make any logical sense to any of you people watching that? Tell me if it made any sense. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm thinking, no.
Are you purely talking on the party and the timber subs? Sorry, the swapping them.
Yeah,
or are you talking about all of them?
No, for me, let me be a bit more specific then. I'm talking about Nwaneri and keeping Erdegaard on because Arteta's come out and said it. It's not nothing to do with an injury. He said it.
Yeah.
So keep them both on the pitch. And in regards to Partey, why are we going back to I couldn't understand it that he brought on Jorginho before him. At that point in the game, James, at that point, let me be very, very specific. At that point, we're trying to win a game of football. Why are you bringing on Jorginho before Thomas Partey? And if you're going to bring off Declan Rice, cool. I could understand it even a tiny bit in terms of with Declan, one thing he needs to improve on, and people said this actually even really in the West Ham days, you've got to pass the ball better, man. You have to pass the ball better in your central areas of the pitch. You've got to utilize it a bit quicker. You've got to move it quicker. Stop taking too many touches. So that's why I can understand a little bit why he brought on Jorginho, because he's a bit more assured in that department of passing. But even Thomas Partey can do that. He could have fed the ball to someone like Ethan Nwaneri to get on the half turn and show us a bit more trickery. But yeah, James coming in like I said, off the back of what I was saying, whether you look at Arsenal from a statistical point of view or what you see with your own 2 eyes, there's so much wrong with this side from the manager to the personnel. Come in, bro.
Yes. Yeah. So again, a lot of it yesterday, a lot of people went, well, where do you portion the blame, James, the manager or the players? And for once, I actually said it's both of them. Because one, Martinelli getting 75 minutes was a joke. That in itself is put
and Havertz.
Yeah, I mean Trossard should have got way more time than he did, even though he's been ineffective. But he should have come on way before 75 minutes. But also, look at midweek, okay? He started Gabriel Jesus up top. But that first goal, where does it come from? Gabriel Jesus going into the left space and then cutting a ball across. So I'd have even put Jesus left and left Havertz up top, because when you put Havertz up front hurts other teams. Havertz in midfield hurts Arsenal. He's just a big body. And he does that again because, like we said, he's erring on caution. Oh, I'll chuck him in there against their big boys. He might, with his gangly legs, win some duels. He might win the ball high and flick it onto somebody. And then the one where he's obviously with the fullbacks and putting Partey there and everything else, again, that's erring on the side of caution. It's not a substitution to win. It's to manage the game or to manage minutes, which I can understand. But you need to win this game. You know, you're saying that this is the team that's competing from the title, but you're not showing it with what you're doing. And Nwaneri, you're right. After the game, I sat there and you know me, Albert, I like to go through my sofa score, my scorecard, anything that I could get information on, I will look at it and go through it with a fine-tooth comb because I'm interested. And I was like, do you know what? I'd be shocked if he got double digits on touches today. And he only got 10 times he touched the ball. And do you know what? That's the first game that I've seen Nwaneri play. And what I've loved about him and Lewis Skelly when they've come in this season is the players are giving them the ball because they trust them. They bypassed Nwaneri yesterday. He wasn't like they didn't want to give him the ball. And I was just like, he's in positions where he's not necessarily open. But we've seen him, you know, Tottenham when he come on. First thing he does, absolutely skin two players, make them look like they're amateur.
He's very good in tight spaces. So yeah, they didn't get the ball to him.
And it just like they didn't want to do anything with him. And Partey for me, don't be bringing. If you're going to bring him on, don't be bringing him on as a right back unless you really need to. I don't feel yesterday you needed to do that.
Madness, but yeah, Scott, coming to you. Yeah, just a quick thought on whether you was happy with the subs or you found it questionable. But in the second half, I mean, did it get better? Not really. We just look. I'm trying to think of the right words to say. I just think we look clueless in quite a few of the games this season in terms of how to break teams down. I've said this countless times. James will testify to this, and people who listen to me on other podcasts on my channel. We are too slow on the ball in the final third. What has happened to the basics of football in two-touch football, where you move people out of position? We're too predictable. Rice takes too many touches. Erdegaard takes too many touches. Yes, I know he does. He can pass the ball through either needle. But I've watched him play enough at Arsenal. He had too many touches of the ball. You make it too easy for opposition midfield players and defenders. You look at other teams, Scott, your Chelseas, your Liverpools, and take different fractions out of, or even wingers in the league. The decision-making is better. They're killers in the final third. They're ruthless. They have mavericks in the team. They have match winners in the team. You take Saka out of our team, we have serious problems.
Mid-table, to be honest, that's how good he's been. He's absolutely carried us. But for me, I don't know if it's that we're too slow, but we're too surgical. We don't attack. I feel like Martinelli. Sorry,
methodical.
Martinelli, and who I love Martinelli. If we've talked before, people know. Like I've been on other pods. I'll talk him up. I think he's a talent, but I can't defend him this season. His decision-making has been absolutely atrocious. You've got a guy in Trossard who can ping a shot from outside the box, but I feel like that's been coached out of him. Like this is how we play. This is how we score. We work at him from the wings. You try and beat your man, cross it across the face of goal, and hopefully someone hits it in. Not a high cross, though, because we don't go for headers. Low cross, hopefully someone taps it. If not, maybe we get a corner, and we're pretty good at those. Like, I love that we've developed this edge from set pieces. I think it's fantastic to have another weapon in our arsenal, pardon the pun, but I don't want that to happen at the
No.
expense of scoring goals in open play. You want to be able to score in open play with creative players like Erdegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Nwaneri, like guys coming on and having that freedom to create, but then being able to call upon the corners. Like, I have no issue with the corner thing, but I have an issue with the fact that we almost seem now like it's all about playing to get that corner. It's not adventurous football.
Scott, touching on the open play, I'm going to come back to you. I saw that. I obviously didn't watch Match of the Day, but I saw the snippet that got put out on social media. You know when sometimes you think something's bad, but then you need to see it in front of your eyes to realize how bad it was in terms of goals from open play. I mean, for any of the fans that say, James, you've heard it, Scott, you've heard it, people in the chat, it's only October, it's only November. Read and weep. Wolverhampton Wanderers, Brighton, Brentford, Fulham have more open play goals than Arsenal in the Premier League. And we're supposed to be going for a league title. Are you taking the piss? Come on, Arsenal fans, man. Seriously. We're not saying you have to turn up at the manager's house and scratch his car with your keys and get him out of the club. But I said this to I'm going to say this. I'm going to come back to Scott. We'll talk about open play, goals from open play. I'm not a manager. I'm not a tactical expert. That's not my role at Arsenal as an Arsenal fan. But I watched that game against Newcastle at St. James's Park, whenever the flipping hell that game was. People in the chat, get the date up of that game, whatever. And I messaged Potsy and I messaged Kenny Ken. I said, you know what? I watched that game extensively, scrutinized it. Arsenal not ready to win the Premier League, man. And I said that against Newcastle away. If you need a stark reminder, people will go, oh, yeah, things can change and, 6 points and 4 points, 7 points, whatever. Liverpool drop points and we're not good enough to capitalize. Like, what more do you need to see? If Newcastle away wasn't a wake-up call, what do you think yesterday was? Everton are a poor side, man. I'd be lucky. It'd be lucky if Sean Dyche even sees the end of the season. Godspeed to Everton fans. You think they're enjoying the football? Of course, they're probably having a carnival, getting a point yesterday. But you understand what I'm saying? Wolverhampton Wanderers, they sacked their manager today, and they've got more open play goals than Arsenal Football Club. This is unforgivable.
And you know what, Albert? You can't buy into. I don't have the energy to argue it with people anymore. But people will say, "Oh, it's only December. It's only December. No one wins the league in December, but you can sure as heck lose it."
Exactly.
In December. We lost the league last season by 2 points. Both Aston Villa games. I'm pretty sure we had a bad result against Fulham. And who else got us? It was Villa, Fulham.
West Ham at home.
Yeah.
West Ham at home.
Funny enough, in the same time of year that we're having a dip now.
Yeah.
Those are the games where you lose a league. 2 points last season. Just give us a win in one of those games. These results, people always say, it's just a draw. You're getting worked up over nothing. But these are the results. They're coming into the season. If we, miss the title by 2 points again, happened last season, you'll be thinking about Everton a heck of a lot more. You'll be thinking about those games where we haven't done what we needed to do. Like, you can't, in this league, if you want to compete for the top honours, you can't just sit there and be happy and make excuses of throwing away points against Everton at home. Like, they had no intention of scoring against us. There was zero intention, zero attack. With those subs, he could have been aggressive. He honestly could have been incredibly aggressive. There was no need to play it so safe. We could have coped with just 3 defenders at the back. Maybe even 2 at some point, you could argue. Just go all out attack.
Scott, you make a good point. I'm going to come to James. He's talking to me and Hoggy was talking to an Arsenal fan yesterday. He spoke a lot of sense. Older, like he's probably seen a lot more Arsenal than I have done. And he made a point, and he's right. And Mikel with whether worse players, not so good players, whatever way you want to chop it up with his time here, right, has played a back three at this football club before. He has done it, unless I'm bloody missing something. And the guy said to me, Hogg, he said, Arsenal are, to me, he said, looking at our personnel, we're better playing a back three, probably, with some of the players we've got, definitely defensively. And I thought, you know what, fair point. You have a point, because we have players that can play that system. But James, coming to you and talk about Mikel, because he's been in charge a long time now, 5-6 years, whatever way you want to phrase it. And I'm looking at him tactically here. And as I said in the outset, I'm not no tactical expert, but I don't see an improvement. If anybody wants to tell me they see an improvement with Mikel tactically, what he's doing with his group of players, with a better group of players and an adequate amount of money spent, people can argue the cows come home what he spent. I'm talking about what he does tactically with his players, and I don't see it. I think Scott mentioned it, or James, but in terms of you can overcoach players or just coach any skill set out of them. That's what I see with this group of players. Am I missing something? Tell me what your thoughts are.
So I can't sit here and say that I've seen no improvement at all, Albert, because I think that'd be a very, very silly comment to make from myself. But there's definitely a regression from what he had last year to now.
From last season to this season, there's a regression.
It's crazy,
definitely. 100%. And that I can't. If I could explain it, Albert, I'd be a millionaire, because I do not know. I do not know where that's come from. And a lot of it, again, it goes to the discussion that I was having last night with Sophie and Josh, in that they said there's two panic buttons. And the panic button one was sack him today, sack him now, get rid of him, I hate him, I'm not willing to press that one. The other one is, you've got to do something in January. Stop neglecting your forward line and keep buying these, because all the other teams that compete with us, Albert, they can all interchange and swap, and guess what? All their players score. None of ours, in any walk of life, take football away from it, apply it to your own personal life. Now, Scott, I don't know what job you do, I'm afraid, buddy. I wish I did, because it would make more sense. Albert, I know what you do. Albert, you know what I do. I can't carry people at my job. I can't have passengers. If you go down, I go down with you. Yeah? That's what's happening in front of you. If he's not seeing it, this sort of visceral feeling that I am having towards Arteta at the moment for this, I will then direct it upstairs. Because at the moment, I've not had anything to say bad about the Cronkies for a long time. I think they've made it open. Look, we finance this. This is your guy. This guy is the guy. And you can see the amount of control this guy gets, because Edu has left due to the fact of, one, he didn't get a job that he thought that he was going to get. Plus, he got 3 times the salary somewhere else, and to do it in multiple countries. You know, he could have houses in multiple countries. I'll take that. But also, there was disagreements about what happened in the summer. And Mikel Arteta can talk up better than Edu could ever talk up. And that's why this sporting director appointment that we make is huge, because if Arteta has too much of a say, you know, let's get I know we're rolling back the clock here, but let's get this right, yeah? Arsene Wenger appointed his own boss.
Madness.
He had complete control over Gazidis until Gazidis in the end grew some balls and got him out. But he was like, I'm the daddy. You sit there in your nice little chair and do as I say. We can't let that happen with Arteta. Arteta needs to be challenged. Arteta needs to be challenged on certain things.
And that's the key word. And that's the key word, James. Because listen,
and we've seen it, Albert, because he pivoted 2 windows ago. Yeah. He wanted Mudryk and he wanted Caicedo. He didn't get either of them, and he got Jorginho and Trossard, because they sat there and they went through it and they explained. So he is open to changing and to pivoting. Now, I know that he wants a certain level of forward. Yeah. And he probably thinks, I can't, due to FFP, due to whatever, we can't afford them. Or if I spend too much on it now, I won't be able to do what I need to do in the summer. No, you just need a player to tide you over. Now, people go to me, oh, what player is that, James? What players? I can name a few of them right now if you want, off the top of my head. Oh, no, because there's players that have got clauses that will not break our bank, Albert.
Mm-hmm.
They will not break our bank. And Buemo, 18 months left on his deal, 50 million quid. Give that in January, you'll get him. Wolves today have just sacked their manager. Cunha, 50 million quid. He's better than, and people go, oh yeah, but he plays for, Cunha's better than what we've got.
Doesn't matter.
Levels.
Out of all the options that we've got currently, he's better than, other than Saka in that forward line, he's probably better than all of them. He's probably better than all of them, Cunha. I'm like, Gyökeres, 50 million quid. Oh, but he plays in a dud league. He scores goals.
Yeah,
he didn't do it against Gabriel or Saliba. Okay, Haaland's not scored against Gabriel and Saliba. Would we not want Haaland at our club?
Because fantastic.
Harry Kane hasn't scored against Arsenal. Would we not want him if he was available?
Crazy talk, man.
I can keep going with strikers that we kept clean sheets against.
I know.
Stop with this nonsense.
Yeah, James, it's crazy because I had this conversation with talking to Potsy on the way back from the game yesterday, and I get sick and tired of fans that go, "Oh, yeah, who'd you get in?" And that's not my flipping job, because the reality is, if I tell you a name in terms of a manager or a player, oh, but you can't get them, and if you don't come up with a name, oh yeah, but you can't come up with a suggestion. So why the bloody hell are you asking me then?
Yeah,
what's the point?
But this whole you can't get that. Well, you can't with that attitude.
Exactly.
You know,
but then don't. Yeah, but I'm saying
my next biggest passion to football, Albert, to my detriment, is wrestling. One of my favorite wrestlers when I was a kid was a guy called the $1 Million Man, and he used to stand there and say, "Everybody's got a price," and that's the thing. You know, David Dean, he talks about when he signed Ian Wright. They went, "We're not selling him." He went, "Here's how much did he cost you? You would know better than me."
Yeah.
There you go. He said, "I'll give you what to do," and he went, "Oh God. Oh well, if you're offering me that, then go on then." So dangle the carrot.
Yeah.
We're in one of the best cities in the world, in a stadium that's, you know, okay, there was a few empty seats there yesterday, but 9 times out of 10, you've got 60,000 people. You know, the forwards that we've got at the moment, apart from Saka and maybe Havertz on his day when he's not absolutely cream crackered like he was yesterday.
Enough.
But you're going to be loved. You're going to be loved if you put the ball in the. All you got to do is put the ball in the back of the net in your first game, and we'll love you.
We haven't had a striker. So sorry to cut you off, James. We actually haven't had a striker, a recognised striker in this squad since Lacazette. I'm not counting Eddie and Nketiah. Don't talk to me about Eddie.
It's unforgivable.
Kai Havertz is. Now, I've got his stats up here. 143 Premier League appearances for 37 goals. He's not a striker. We still don't know Kai Havertz's best position, but it's not being a goal scorer. We let go of Aubameyang. We actually have not, in all the years of Arteta being in control, we haven't signed a striker. Don't ask how many left backs we signed. We've got guys we can cash in on. Look at left back. We've got Tomiyasu who can play there. We've got Kieran Tierney who, if he's not good enough, ship him out. He did nothing wrong by the club. He's been a good servant. He's been a good character. He's not one of these guys that have been caught up in toxicity. If you don't want Kieran Tierney, sell him. Sell him. I still think he's our best defensive left back. Mm-hmm. But Mikel doesn't agree, and he knows more than me. Sell him. Yeah, get rid of him. If you don't fancy Gabby Jesus to be starting games to be scoring goals, if you don't trust him, sell him. Get rid of players and move on. It blows my mind that he signed a heck of a lot of players, a lot of left backs, but we haven't signed a striker under his reign.
Scott, it's neglect. And you're right. Could you think about it, James and Scott? Like, I don't understand this. I look at, even if I look in the Premier League of recent time, you look at Brentford's. They've got a match. Their home record is exceptional, but their away form stinks. It's crazy. But anyway, you look at Vissa in Burma. I mentioned in Burma in terms of a wild card who Arsenal should go for at the start of the season.
Most underrated forward in the league.
Yeah, you look at those.
He's incredible.
You look at those. If you take Saka out, like if you take Saka out of our team or the front line, if to be a bit more specific, and you compare it against like a Brentford front three or front two, or other strike forces in the Premier League, you look at it as an Arsenal fan, you think to yourself, you know what? And we're meant to be going for a league title, and there's other teams who are not fancied to go and even finish in the top 10 that have a better front line, or arguably a better front line than Arsenal's. That's not right, James and Scott. That cannot be right going forward. Come in, James. Sorry.
Yeah, no. This is it. Is that, and a lot of people were going to me, James. There's still so many games before January, so I want give me the solution of what we do now. And I'm like, I can't, because they're not good enough. I said, there is no solution. There's enough of us. People go, oh, have you got enough sample size now to say that they're... I'm like, yeah, under this current guise, those two players and the 140 grand a week mascot in Sterling that we've got now. You know, Sterling's got the best season ticket that I nearly got Sterling's ticket on the exchange yesterday, by the way. It nearly flagged up. I nearly got Sterling's seat, mate. I was flicking through it, thinking, "Oh God, I can sit where Sterling is."
James, that's just a small snippet of, like I mentioned to you about.
His coat's too small for me, but I could have wrapped it around my legs at least.
That as well. But James, that is. Listen, luckily, like Scott, you mentioned in terms of the time Mikel's been here, he's done some good things, and you've got us back into a position where we're challenging, but it's that next step. And I'm looking at this season in particular off the back of the last two, and there's so many things going wrong. I'll take back a little bit what I said in terms of Mikel tactically. All right, let me be a bit more specific then. This season, having been in the job quite a few years, for me, it's alarming what I'm seeing him doing with the side tactically and some of the substitutions at this stage.
It's the obsession, Albert.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's his obsession of these 5% and everything that he goes on. Look at his comments after Fulham last week. It was all about, I could have been more perfect to stop that goal. Nothing about the lack of impetus up front. It was all about, if Kivior didn't step in and then Jimenez stepped out. It was all about his defence. And you know what? I said it on Hybrid Squad last night, and I say it on here. It's Southgate-itis, and I don't like it. I don't like it. For me, I'm like, do you want to be known as a nearly man? Yeah, is that what you want your Arsenal legacy to be? Because people will think of you fondly, but will all go, but if we just had done this, if we just had done that. You know, you can be a somebody. I mean, I don't know if I get infuriated by very small things, as you can see. But the Arsenal, this all behind me. I know this is the new badge that people don't like. I've got some of the stuff of the old badge. I just haven't put it up yet. But we've got a number 10 and a number 14 shirt vacant at Arsenal. Do you know how much those shirts mean? They're big shirts. And we've got nobody wearing either one. Come on, man. There's statues outside the ground of two players in those shirts. They're big. Arsenal got no one in a 10 or a 14. Come on, man. Yeah,
listen, and let me try and appeal to the I can put this the positive side of our fan base at the moment, and I'm using that keyword specifically. Still, what Scott coming to you? So because I'm struggling to kind of, and people who know me, you guys know me well enough now, on the people that have been loyal to my channel, whatever. I don't talk out the side of my mouth for no reason, but I want some of the positive guys or the people that want to look at things in a way that we still have a chance, to put it politely. What is it? Tell me what it is that I can be hopeful and positive about, other than the fact that it's the middle of December. Tell me. I'm struggling to what some of the fans can tell me, Scott.
For me, I'd be positive about the fact that Liverpool were looking infallible, but they've dropped some points in recent times. That's promising. I'd be positive about the fact that, we're still in the Champions League. We're in the Champions League. We're in the FA Cup. We've got a big tie.
Yeah.
We're in the Carabao Cup. We're still in the Cups. So for me, if you're in it, you can win it. And we know on our day, if we get that early goal or, we can turn it on. I don't fear any club in world football. I know it probably sounds stupid after I've been critical of Arteta, but I'm not saying sack him. Go back to what I said at the beginning of the stream. My minimum expectation is a cup. And I think the squad is good enough to win a cup, despite our shortcomings at the front. But if we have a really good January, we can really charge at something. I don't think it will be the league, but why not an FA Cup? Why not an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup? Why not make a good run at the Champions League? I know James is saying he didn't mind kind of how we finished last season. I was really disappointed to go out to that Bayern Munich team. I thought it was a weak Bayern by their normal standards, but I want us to have a good run in that this year, and we still can. It's not. I think the league's done, but those 3 cups are alive, and hopefully Arteta, for me, can just let go of his pride a little bit. Like, I understand how he wants to play, and it's effective most of the time.
And it kills some managers, i.e. certain Mr. Postecoglou down the road.
Look, he's Aussie. I'm a little bit biased. It's a very hard to play. Let's not go there because it's hard to hate. Obviously, I hate Spurs, but, Ange, he's one of our own.
Yeah, I get it.
That's what I'm going to try and be positive about. I'm not saying sack him, but we get to the end of this season and don't lift a cup. I think our fan base, I think the owners, I think the squad, I think everyone has been more than patient with Mikel. He's got cult hero status without winning it, and with only winning something with a team that he dismantled because they were toxic and not good enough. I don't understand the adoration, but I also understand that there's no point pulling the trigger mid-season. Give him a chance to get something over the line. We've trusted him for this long. Let's lift a cup this season. Let's get a winning mentality in the team and then go and become a force for the next 10 years. Let's do that.
The adoration, Scott, is because people need to be right. That's all it is. All these people
need to be positive.
That since it's not even big to be positive. It's like this with politics and everything else in the world. You have to be correct.
Yeah.
You've put yourself so far into one camp.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe being centrist and listening to both sides of the view. But
you got my voice on yesterday, so you know what I think anyway. So
this is it. And I'm like, you've gone so far that way now that even if you really, and I've seen it with my own eyes, I've heard it with my ears. You can't pull back that way because you've built your following or whatever you've got off being that. So now you can't change. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Sorry, James. Scott. Suge, thank you for that. Because this is why. Listen, Arsenal buying a striker won't fix everything. Let me make that very, very clear before anybody comes to me. However, for as long as I've watched football, whether you are challenging for a league title, you're challenging for top 4, you're challenging for European places, or you're trying to survive relegation, you need to have a man at the helm at the top of the pitch that can score you goals. That's throughout the history of football. Chris Wood is in the form of his life. When Forest stayed up 2 seasons ago under Steve Cooper, one of the main reasons why they stayed up was because Tyrone Awoniyi hit some amazing form towards the back end of last season. I'll go back even years, as I said it before when I clipped it. Michael Ricketts of Bolton scored against us. He scored against Liverpool. He scored against Manchester United. I think he scored 15 goals that season. That was key to them staying up because they started the season well.
Albert, who's on your background?
Exactly.
What did he do? He saved Everton. He stopped Everton from being relegated because he come in and scored goals.
Super Kev. You need
to go.
You can't, mate. Listen. We've chewed through the fat for almost 58 minutes, man. But I'm gonna wrap it up because there's many things I could have spoken about. But we'll come back to another point in terms of Declan Rice, where we see him going forward, and 6-8. That's another dilemma, another conversation. But I want to big up the people in the chat for your amazing vocal calls during the chat. Whatever I was going to come up with, it's gone out my head anyway. But people, if you don't know what to do by now, this is what you should do. And there you have it, people. Funky intro into Scratch Albert J TV. And my man in the bottom of the screen has a channel, Mr. Jimmy Changa Johnson. It is in the title on YouTube. So click on it, highlighted in blue. Bang! Subscribe. But people, I want to thank Scotty Borg and James. James, firstly, welcome back to Albert J TV. Love you, bro, as always. Where can the people find you, man?
Yeah, just there, LL Cool James 91, and you've put it like you said. Just if you liked me on here, you probably didn't, but if you did, give it a hit and subscribe for more. You can hear more of me because I won't be going away, Albert. I'm not saving it. I'm not quote tweeting it, but I'm putting these people on blast, man, because it's bullshit. Let's call it what it is.
There you go, man. Big up to James for that. And Scott, it's been too long. You know I love you, bro, man, all the way down under, but. Tell the people where they can find you, and thank you once again. Obviously, 11 hours ahead, bro. So love you for that.
Pleasure, man. Just ticked after midnight, but I can't think of a better way to start a Monday morning than with you fine gentlemen. Look, no content for me unless Albert flashes up the bat signal, and I'll always answer the call. But no, my Twitter handle was on the stream earlier. So look, if you want to chuck me a follow on there, feel free. Come on, have a chat. Call me out, whatever you'd like. But it's always a pleasure, man. Look, I'm like anyone else. We all want the same thing. We all want our club to be successful. And I think sometimes people need to put their agendas to the side, accept that maybe something they went all in on isn't right or may be right. You just, let's see what happens at the end of the season. Hopefully we're lifting 3 cups. That would be a delight.
They would be like, what was he bloody moaning about all that time? But listen, we all want. Listen, I want the one with the big ears in particular. I have to be really, really honest. But as you know, your host Albert J TV. This will go on the audio for wherever you find your podcast. So yeah, an hour's gone through. We blasted through a lot, and there's still a lot to talk about. But amazing guests. Obviously, Albert J TV. Come and subscribe to the channel. Life Stories, another episode. Hopefully, will be coming out this month. Hopefully, the person has agreed to come on, which I'm looking forward to getting him on. But yeah, that is Albert J TV over and out. Enjoy your Sunday roasts or your late night cappuccinos or whatever else you eat in your snack time in the night. But Albert J TV over and out on the Sunday. People, we will speak very, very soon. Rest in peace, Super Kevin Campbell. Love you, brother.